failed more times than I've succeeded. Failing has caused me to hit rock bottom, which I'm sure that both of you can resonate with. Every time that I hit rock bottom, though, and I've crawled my way out of that hole, I found myself higher than where I was before. Life has taught me that I will never succeed more than I fail, because failing is what leads to success. Today, I will be covering how I swapped my mindset from being a failure to needing to fail. First is failure as a necessity. Second is using failure as a drive. And third is persistence will lead to your eventual success. Now let's cover my first topic. Why is failure such a necessity? When we think of failure, we think of the complete opposite of success, which is true. But in reality, it's just part of the process. I remember when I failed my first math test, and I hated math. Math is my worst subject, so of course failing this test left me hopeless. How can I recover from this? Yet, let alone how can I even pass this math class if I don't understand the basics? But through that failure, I built up a study system that I still use today. After that math test, I spent hours trying to relearn every subject that was covered on the test. And with that, I passed the math class with a flying B. I used that failure to drive me and push me further in my studies. Now that I covered my first topic, let's move on to the second. Using failure as a drive. Throughout high school, I was a track runner. I ran the 800 and the 400 meter, those were my mains. But my senior season, I was running, and I tripped over someone and I fell and I elbowed my ribs. That left a significant bruise. And when I went to go see the trainer, she said that I might have a concussion and also that I should be out for 5 weeks. 5 weeks. How can I catch up to them if I'm not running for 5 weeks, let alone I can barely do my basic necessities? I would always have to ask for help. I can't even carry my own backpack. But finally, after the 5 weeks, on the first day, even though my ribs were hurting, I ran like it was the last thing I could do. Every time I crossed the point from where I fell, it angered me. It made me feel a certain way, and it sparked a fire that wouldn't go out so easily. So every day I was running as hard as I possibly could. And by the end of it, during my last race, I ran 4 seconds faster than I was pre-injury. Now from that, failure can be a powerful tool that you can use. So far I've covered how failure is a necessity and using failure as a drive. Now on to my final topic, persistence will lead to your eventual success. Throughout my whole life, I've seen my dad go from nothing to everything. My dad is a licensed electrician who started his business in the early 2000s. And he already came from a low-class family, and by that time he was maybe working a minimum wage job, which also meant that money was tight. Same with my grandparents, they didn't really have a major. So when he started his new business, it was great, but he was struggling. How can he pay for all this stuff? So every day he had to work tirelessly for almost 15 to 20 years. 15 to 20 years, and some days he probably didn't even eat. And yet, he has built his business up very high. And the roof I have over my head, and the car I drive, and the living room that you see is all because of him. In conclusion, I give you the 3 key points of how I changed how I felt about being a failure to actually needing to fail. First, it was that failing is a necessity because it teaches great life lessons. Second, is using failure as a drive as a powerful weapon. And third is persistence, as it'll eventually lead to your success, despite the challenges. Through my speech, I hope that you all can reshape the way you think about failing. Failure is not just the end of a road, but it's a redirection to go back on the right path. And remember, you don't truly fail until you stop trying. So keep going. There's nothing that can stop you except you.